gotta.
We had a little problem because my memory ran out and I ditched a bunch of files. We're back. Where were we, Amber? Where
We're
were
back. We're back. Okay, here's where we were. So Falk was sharing about his experience when he is in the presence of someone who is embodied. And the way that he described his feeling was a feeling of feeling safe.
Yep.
Safety in the presence of someone who is embodied. And what I was sharing was, I wrote a book, it's coming out next month. And one of the parts, thank you. One of the parts that I discovered in my research was some information about the history of the feminism movement and how it wasn't until the year of my birth, 1974, that women were allowed to apply for a credit card in their own name. It wasn't until 1974, the year of my birth, that women were allowed to have a bank account in their name. Before that, they were only allowed to save money in their husband's bank account or use their husband's credit card. They had no autonomy. Also, in 1972, shortly before the year of my birth, women were not allowed to have access to birth control without being married. So 1972, women were allowed to, have to get access to birth control. So,
and because you couldn't get credit, you couldn't get land or a house.
Right.
Yes.
So this was an attempt to strip women of their power, right? Feeling embodied, being embodied, part of that, in my experience, is feeling empowered, right? In my authentic power. And so out of fear, this power was stripped away. But the irony of it was that it did the opposite, because when you are not wanting someone to be in their full power, then inevitably you're going to feel unsafe. And the world has been living in where women are not in their full power. We're coming into that, and everybody's going to feel safer when we are in our full embodied, empowered states of being. And so
I love that connection. I love it.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to that because I think that is so true, right? Like when I'm with someone who is embodied and empowered and present, it's like, oh, I feel safe. When I'm with someone who is the opposite of that, I feel very unsafe. And I've had both experiences. And I prefer to feel safe.
I don't know why. Why do you prefer to feel safe? Yeah, for sure. And that's how I feel when Falk is facilitating for me. It's like this very grounded, like you were saying, your gift, one of your gifts from whether it's your conditioning or just your natural born gift of like, I got you. Yeah. Yeah. And I love men that are wanting women to rise, like wanting to see them in their most embodied self.
I mean, why wouldn't you, right?
I don't know. Beats me.
I mean, do you really think, and this doesn't just go for this goes for everything. Like, do you really think that it was men wanting to hold women down, or do you think it was just the evolution of the bullshit that we've been doing, you know? I just think as a species, men, women, everybody, like just figuring shit out, and we've done really awful things. You know, we send our kids to war. We still do that.
Yeah.
And nobody, no mother and no father thought to say, fuck no. Like, what are we doing, right? Like, I just think in general, like,
right.
And this is Amber, this is not obviously not negating anything that you're saying, but narrative wise, I always try to just sort of just always make sure that that there's never a divide in the story anymore, because there's so much of that, you know. And I just think as a collective, it's time that we empower ourselves.
Travis,
let's face it, it wasn't like there was a lot of embodied men that then suppressed the women. Clearly not embodied men would do that. So
exactly. Well, no, it was the
clear
consciousness that we
nobody
were born into. that
Yes.
existed. Yes, absolutely.
Your
And
friend
we are.
Travis was talking about this when we interviewed him. He was talking about like, I didn't have a role model for
Right.
what an embodied man looked like or acted like. He was like, we
Yeah.
have it. Right? He was talking about, he was like, we're suffering too. So I
Yeah.
think that's maybe what you're talking about is like,
Well,
am I right? I don't.
This is what I wrote in my book as well. I actually talk about the vicious cycle that men are born to women who have abandoned themselves, who have betrayed themselves, who have not been embodied, and wounds are created from that. And then it's just this vicious cycle. And so I think I know for me, my intention is to be my most embodied self so that both of my children, my son and my daughter, can have that modeled for them.
Yeah.
And have that experience.
How old are your
Yeah.
kids?
My sweet son Will is 9 and my lovely daughter is 11, Dawson. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. 11 and 9. I can't even imagine that yet.
It's a good age. It's a good age.
Ah,
It's a good age. I love it. I know Siri always teases me because she's like, I love being a mom, and I love this phase better than
I'm not teasing you. I just think I'm like, I look up to you. I think it's amazing.
I enjoy this phase better than, and I think a lot of it also has to do with where I was at in my life. But when they were very, very little, I definitely found it more challenging to be a mama.
But you also like to have your breaks. You like to have your alone time.
Oh my God. Yesterday, I'm telling you, they went back to their dad's and I spent hours in my energy, put the music on. I danced in my room. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
So what we have not yet touched upon is this being at the forefront of creation. Like, what do we want to put out into the world as creatives? What are we modeling? How are we showing people how to be these embodied people through storytelling?
well, I feel like Amber just touched on that, right? With her book. I think that you're telling a story there. And I think everybody has their passions and the things that like get them going. For me, yeah, stories has just been something that always reached me as a kid. I like to hear them, I like to see them. I fell in love with movies, and I actually did have a lot of role models. And you'll laugh, but Forrest Gump was a huge role model for me. You know, that man to me was very embodied. Like I mean, talk about kind, talk about trying his best, talk about expressing emotion.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson's Braveheart, talk about strength and fighting for freedom, but being good and kind and being vulnerable and being able to, you know, put it on the line for something that you believe in. Like I felt like I was very much shaped by stories. And I think there's a time now where we got to change how we tell stories and how in my case, I really want to support and encourage storytellers, filmmakers to get back to being able to tell a story that came from inspiration, from their heart, from their trials. I found as an audience and as an actor, I just found this huge desire and wanting to tell those type of stories and a lack of them being out there. You know, something that really touches me where you go, oh man, like these people really went through something to write this story. And yeah, I wanna encourage a new system and usher that in where from financing, maybe we shouldn't even call it financing, maybe we should call it patronaging or just a different term for it, but from financing to how we pick the stories of how we cast them, just not reinvent the wheel, but I really want to put a beating heart at the center of it again and ask, why are we making this film? Why is this important to you? I don't want to hear anything about market research. I don't want to hear anything about what we think they want. I want to hear about you out there, the storyteller. Like, why is this so important to you? and then go from there. And who do you really want to work with, and who inspires you to play this role? It doesn't have to be a name. If it is one, if you love Brad Pitt and you just think he's so wonderful, well, great, wonderful, let's do that. But just kind of guide people to get back to the basics. And what's really interesting is I'm going through this big shift that it's not scaring me, but it's hugely uncomfortable. I decided just to go, fuck it, I'll just spearhead this. And I started calling all the people, or reached out to all the people that I've worked with, some of them like top A-list, like directors, actors, all that. And I was like, what am I doing? What am I going to say? Like, why am I calling these people? And what ended up transpiring is that I'm not alone. And these people that are amazing, amazing, incredible storytellers, like some of my heroes, are like, yeah, it's over. Like, we can't do that anymore. The system doesn't allow it. And I lit up. I was like, fuck that, like let's get this done. Let's change it around, and let's just find the right investors. And at this point too, if anybody hears it, but I was thinking of Kathy, for example, Kathy Heller, Lorraine Jones, Tony Robbins. There's so many people who are like, yeah, I'm creating like 100 companies. I got billions of dollars. I'm interested in opening hearts and doing things differently. I'm like, there must be a new type of financier that's like, hey, I'll help you put a grant together. I'll help you change this around because I'm not interested in profit. I got that figured out, right? Like these people I'm so inspired by because they're just flowing, they have an idea, then they float, and then their bank account is full, and then they flow it back to another company. And so part of me is like, well, let's just talk to these people. Let's have a conversation, let's just see, is there something we can all do together to change the system around? Because it is a powerful system. And I think, especially Hollywood, it's shaped how we think. It's shaped how we feel about things, for better or worse, in my case,
Yep.
for better. But if I look around now, I'm just kind of like, what are we doing? Like just curious, like what is the message right now? And is it really like from a higher perspective?
Yeah.
And regardless of it, I want to be at the forefront of encouraging that again and saying it's absolutely possible. This is not one of the greatest art forms that has touched the most amount of people on this planet. It's like it's not over, you
Well,
know?
one of the things that I would love to see more of, which you had in your film Swap Me Baby, is a woman birthing not on her back. I'd love to see more of
Yeah.
that. And it was the first time I ever saw that was in your movie. And I was like,
Well, and the irony of that is
yes, please, more of that.
we rehearsed our own birth because the way it's done in the movie, not at a rock outcropping at a lake, but that's how we get birth. And we forgot to have an umbilical cord in the movie, or you can't see it. And we're like, well, that's not real. And then in our birth, there wasn't one either. It snapped. So it was funny how that movie,
Oh, wow.
we did exactly the same birth, and it took almost, it was almost as fast as in the movie too. So
Art mirrored life. Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, I am fully in support of you creating soul-led, humanitarian, inside-out filmmaking. I know Jake was talking about in one of the interviews on this podcast about we're trying to save Hollywood from itself when the strike
Yes,
when the strike was happening.
right.
We're trying to make
Yeah,
it actually be about the content and not about the money.
right, right. Yeah, I think it's going to take more than the unions. I listened to that podcast that you sent me a little bit about the uh, generators and the human design.
Oh,
And it was really interesting how it was talking about we're entering an era where it's going to be more about the individual.
yeah.
Um, and I think, when the strikes happened, I was like, I was all for it, but a big part of me was like, if you can't say no to the job and ask for more money yourself, you can't rely on a union to do that. Like we need to educate each individual. And again, I think there's a danger to go, well, the union or the industry, and trust me, I've hated on the industry a lot, but there's a danger in going, they are treating us unfairly. I'm like, well, you accepted it, you played along. Like it's kind of like we gotta all again, I just to stop the division, I'm like, we just gotta find each other. We just gotta raise our hands and go, who here is really interested in something different? And that's what I did when I started reaching out. And I was amazed at who and how many people are like in the exact same boat, powerful people. And I'm like, and yet we're not doing anything. Well, I think it's because we're relying on the system and we're railing against the existing system of Hollywood. And that system is fine. It does what it does. It'll always do what it does. And we don't have to like bring it down or like even change it. You just got to go over to the right or to the left and shout really loud, hey, I want to play. Like, who else wants to play and have a good time and be loved on and like, you know,
Like
listen,
Amber did a one-woman show, and you just created that from nothing and just did what you wanted to do.
Well, I was thinking too, like along the lines of what you're saying. When we were on Kathy's call the other day, she had on Kelly Carlin, George
Carlin's daughter,
and she was talking about essentially art for the sake of sharing humanity, and I feel like that's what my intention and purpose was when I wrote my one woman show. And that's why, because I feel like by me showing up and just sharing my story, my life, it makes me feel less alone. It makes other people feel less alone. It normalizes just the human condition, because we've all, like we said, we've all been conditioned to show up like, I'm only going to show up when this part of me, the happy, shiny part, is on. But when it's not, I'm going to like retreat. So if we show up in all of it, and so that's what you're saying, like using this art form and this platform of creative expression to share in the experience of humanity, and to help each other heal collectively using that art form, rather than it just being about just entertainment. Entertainment's great also, but that's why I had such a fun time. You talk about play. I had such a fun time doing my show, because I really didn't have an attachment to, like, I haven't had an agent for years. I haven't auditioned for years. I literally just did it for the process of it and the joy of being on stage. And it was an incredible experience.
That's the best when it comes from that place.
Yeah.
Entertainment and telling an important story. I mean, again, like to go back to Forrest Gump, like that's hugely entertaining.
Right.
Like it doesn't have to be separate. Like I love big Hollywood films. And that's what I'm saying. I think I was lucky in my time, or we were in the 90s, all that, like movies were massive and made you cry and laugh and feel at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That was to me the magic of Hollywood. Like everybody made movies, and everybody made you feel, but on that scale of that catharsis and that like uh, level, like only Hollywood knew how to do that.
Did you see the making of Forrest Gump? Have you seen how it's like
the
every
movies that
step
made
of the way, of the way, they were fighting the system, and he was like, didn't even tell them what he was doing, and
oh, I didn't know. I watched that recently. I was like, oh, I love it. Oh my God, yes. Yeah, I when my kids are, with their dad, sometimes I'll just go through these phases where I'll just like watch movie after movie, but that was one of them that I recently watched again. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
all
a
that
good
stuff.
movie. I love feeling, like what you said, I mean,
yeah,
love feeling.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and I'll never get tired of it. And that's my flow state.
So you feel most embodied when you're creating, when you're connected to the earth?
I think it's whenever I'm in flow state, and that happens in something that is challenging me at the right amount of uh, discomfort, meaning, for example, the horses. If it's at a level where I don't feel in danger, but I have to be really present in order to stay safe and that, then I start to flow. The connection to the animals, nature always does the trick, always. My son's smile, my son running around and just that laughter, watching my wife's love for my son and seeing them, that turns it on. Um, every time I'm on set, no matter what the set is, from action to cut, it's just wonderful. Creating with people and going, yeah, oh, I got an idea. What if we do this and what if we do that? Um, there's many, many things that make me feel embodied.
And so what
Yeah.
would you say to someone who's, because you've been in what Kathy calls the cave. You've been there, you've
Oh
seen
yeah,
every
I
corner
go there
of
all the
it.
time.
You've seen
Me and the
every
cave,
corner.
we hang out a lot. Yeah.
Well, what's your advice? What would you say for someone who's feeling disembodied or disconnected or disillusioned? Like, what can they do?
Dear friend of mine, um, said to me a long time ago, when you're in those caves, and when you're in that cave, she says, treat it like an archaeological dig. Like, see what you can find. And I think that's really hard to do. That's why I think like something like breath work or something that you just can easily create a pattern with, just force yourself in a way or like push yourself to go, I'm feeling this. I gotta have a practice to do something with it because I don't think you should try to get out of the cave right away. If you're in the cave, you're going into the cave, like see what you gotta like shed a light on. See what's there, see what you haven't been paying attention to for 41 years or for 20 years or I think that's those calls of darkness are like, please, can you come here and bring a little light over here because we've been waiting. And the only way that you're listening is through discomfort. When we run through the woods, we don't stop running unless we get a cut in the arm or something. And that's the body going, hey, stop like you got to pay attention to this beautiful suit that you're having so that we stay alive. And I think in our modern day age, it's not the saber-tooth tiger or the cuts in the woods. It's overwhelm, anxiety, it's depression, it's can't go on no more. These are all calls from the body to go, hey, I need your attention. So I think it's just that mindset shift to go, it's just time to go to work. And it sucks. Like I also want to say a lot of people are like, oh, it's great, and you just do the work. And it's like, no, it fucking sucks. I hate it. I fucking hate it most of the time.
Yeah.
Until I'm in it. Until I'm in it. But that section of being called by your body through depression or pain or whatever it is, until you actually accept that you're going to do something with that space in between, it sucks. It sucks to wake up and man or woman up and do the work. It really is, it's not fun. And also, if you're going through that, know that discomfort, that's necessary for change.
Mm-hmm.
When you shed an old thing, it means you're going somewhere that you don't know. And that by nature, just by biology, it freaks the body out. It's like, I don't know, like this kept me alive. Yeah, I'm in pain and yeah, but I'm alive. This
Mhm.
new shit that you're trying out over here, like, is that gonna, like, are we dying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
give yourself grace, and look around in the cave and take your time, take your space if you can, and just pat yourself in the back just for being present with the pain.
And I will add to all of that beautiful sentiment, be with people who have taken the leap into the unknown and survived. Like, I'm about to jump off the cliff. And they're like, yeah, I know, I jumped. It's actually okay. I'm still alive. I'm right here, right? It's like, okay, so find those people. Find the people that are also doing this. Because if you're around people that are like, no, I'm good. I'm just gonna stay here in this misery. I don't want to check it out. Then you're most likely going to stay in that. But if you're feeling the call, right, into this new version of yourself, find people that are doing it, that are doing the work, that are living it, that who have jumped already and they've survived, and not only survived, but they're like actually enjoying life.
Yes.
Right.
Most of the time.
And on that, I want to add, because I'm that guy that doesn't, because I feel like, and this is so unoriginal, but when I'm in it, I'm always like, I don't know anybody. Like I haven't known anybody that changed Hollywood, or I don't have access to them, which again, that was a trick of my mind. I actually do. But so then if you're like me, do what Ember says in the way that maybe don't call, but at least call out that you need help.
Right.
You got Instagram, just fucking post a message and say, wow, it's really hard today, you know? Just share yourself. You don't even need to ask for help. Just go, I'm really just not feeling good. And I want to say, I promise you, somebody will hear you. It might not even be somebody that you know.
Yeah.
Share yourself.
Yes. I think it's very uncomfortable to be
No,
vulnerable and share. The
takes
swan,
courage.
the swan does not want to show the paddling underneath.
No,
It's like,
it's very true.
no, I got it together. I do it, guys. I'm here for you. I got you. I'm gonna make all of it work. We're all good. I'm gonna heal you. I'm gonna help you. But I'm struggling. You won't know about that.
Yeah. Falk, what is your human design?
Generator.
Profile? Oh, generator. Okay,
Generator, yeah.
cool.
Generator.
All right.
We got a Manny Jenny, a generator, and a projector all here.
We just need we just need Kim, and then we'll be like, oh, and a reflector. I don't know any reflectors.
I don't either. They're the smallest percentage of the population.
Like
Reflectors?
1%.
For projectors are, I believe, the second.
20, yeah.
And then yeah. So
Well,
all right.
thank you.
Yes, this has been wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's such a lovely conversation. It's so nice. I really
nice.
enjoyed it.
I did too.
I hated it every second.
No, these are the conversations that we live for, right? Just real, true, honest. It's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's what it's about.
I love it. I love it.
Can I plug a little bit?
Please.
On two things. So breathofchange2020@gmail.com. If you are struggling, if you need support and you're interested in finding some modalities or some coaching, reach out. I do donation-based work. So we'll talk about the price, but it'll be dependent on your income and how you feel about abundance or where you stand with it. And then patronagefilms@gmail.com. Yeah, if you're hearing this, Grain, if you're hearing this, Kathy, whoever is hearing it, if you're an abundant, high-level financial person that has a similar passion for the 90s and 2000 movies in Hollywood, and you also have a sense that something isn't working the way it could, and there's some improvement, and you want to support me with resources, conversations, insights, whatever it is, to create a new space. I have a lot of passion and a lot of ideas and a lot of things in place, and I'm really wanting to call in like-minded people that are very powerful and know how to do it and are excited to bring some storytelling and that can really, really help on a cultural level and heal some stuff.
Well, I will say, Falk, you've been one of the most influential, I don't want to say healer, but like facilitators in my life and in my husband's life. And we didn't even talk about the whole mojo thing, which was our original plan. So we'll have to do another one.
Okay. All right. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad. I'm happy that I was, able to be of service.
But yeah, Falk has a way of helping people find their mojo, like find their zest, their juice for life. And I know it's like we teach what we need, and you give that. You know, after I have a breathwork session with you, or after Jake has a breathwork session with you, we're doing a couples breathwork session in a few days with you, we get lit up, we get creative, we get fired up about life. Like you've done that for us. It's been absolutely life-changing. Absolutely life-changing.
Life force energy.
That's right.
That's what it is.
Thank you, my dear.
Yeah. Well, I love you,
right.
Falk. You're just
Love
one of
you.
my favorite people, and Amber is one of my favorite people. Couldn't be any more beautiful. Thank you, Falk. We're gonna
Amber,
keep.
it was so nice to meet you and
So nice
hang
to
out
meet
with you.
You too.
And congrats on the book. I hope it goes really well. And
Thank you.
Say again, when is it out?
February 22nd, 222.
2/22/24. All right.
Yep.
Awesome. And what's the title?
Born to be all of me.
Born to be all of me. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So
Yay!
we'll put your emails in the show notes.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Until
Bye,
next
ladies. Have a
time.
good day.
Mwah. Thank you. Bye. Oh, that was so nice. I can see why you adore him the way that you do. He's a very special human and a very special man, and beautiful, honest, real. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have conversations with embodied women and embodied men.
Mm-hmm.
Or who are on the path to feeling embodied and being embodied most of the time.
What I think is so nice is how we can see things in each other and shed light on those aspects. You know,
Right.
because I don't think that Falk always sees how incredible he is. And I don't think you necessarily always see, or I necessarily always
Of course.
see, right?
Yeah, of
And
course
so
not. Yeah.
it's just beautiful to be able to, as artists, as healers, as creatives, to show each other that mirror of like, do you understand how fucking amazing you are?
Yeah.
You know, and so I love these relationships that we get to have. Like you were saying, surround yourself with people that inspire you, that help you to leap to the next phase, that help you to shake out of your old, just places where you've fallen asleep, you know, places where you've just kind of gone complacent. You know, for Jake and I, it definitely was that we were kind of bored in where we were. And then he just, through the work that he did with us, was like, wake up. And we did.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a really miraculous thing how it works, how we have our own experience, like hit rock bottom or whatever you want to call it. And then we kind of get catapulted onto our own healing journey. And then somewhere along the way, we feel this call to share it with somebody else. And then we just, you know, keep sharing it and then create this ripple effect. Like I had this woman, I did a recent Instagram live and I was just showing up in real time, like honest, you saw it. And so this woman that I have known for years, who has, you know, been a client and a member of All of Me when it was going on, and she just thanked me so much for showing up in real time and like really being a living example. And like when I read her message, there's just, I guess it's just the validation of like knowing that when we do show up authentically in real time and like be a living example of being able to take the leap, and not always perfectly and not always, you know, without fear or hesitation, but like do it anyways, that it does make an impact. It does create positive impact on people. And that makes it all worth it to me. That makes it all worth it to me. And I had this sense of like the scales, the balance, right? Like, so I've got some stuff going on that's challenging right now. And I'm also using it to share and empower myself and embody myself. And so it's like balanced out. And then I received messages like that saying, hey, you are making a difference in my life. And so it's like, okay, like like this is contributing. Like we see it as separately, like this is bad, this is good. But this is actually contributing to my ability to be able to live in real time and positively impact the people that I am here to be of service to. So it's like, it's all of it. I feel like we've been talking a lot about that lately, like the paradox, the duality, like it's all of it.
It's all of it.
Yeah. So speaking of all of it, my washing machine is broken, so I need to go.
Yes, I hear that. Yeah, and I've got to do this human design reading. So I love you. I appreciate you. This was so much fun.
I know, it was.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time for another unexpected journey of whatever we're going to go on.
That's right.
Take you with us.